Live somewhere. There we go. We'll wait for my wife to come on and tell us we're
Shadows creep
on
slow.
Facebook and YouTube.
Footprints deep where no man should go.
You need a theme song like this.
Cold winds howl through hollers and brooks.
I can make you one.
Hey, that would be cool.
Whispers of Bigfoot in the way it
Let's
looks.
see what I can do.
Miss monsters and mullets in the night.
We are good on both. That was quick.
Under a pale
Quick. All right. Well, welcome to Miss Monsters and Mullets Live. We are on Facebook and YouTube. Don't have a bunch of people watching right now, but that's all right because it'll get it replayed. Let me get back to the chat here. So tonight on Miss Monsters and Mullets Live, we have Rod from Lodge Tales, one of my favorite guests. He's been around since the beginning, before it was even a podcast, really. He was in my lives on TikTok, and we've struck up a friendship. Texted him last night. I'm like, hey, Rod, your weather's in my backyard. I need you to come and get it. And then he sends me a picture. He ain't even got any snow. So, Rod, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's been a while. Like I said, I think the last episode I had with you was back in like April. So, and I'll tell you what, I'm getting ready to do a year-end review, and you're going to be mentioned as one of my favorite guests as far as the most comments, most likes, most views across all platforms. Dude, everybody loves your show and loves you. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about Lodge Tales?
So Lodge Tales is a podcast I created to give a voice to the indigenous folks all around the world. But I started it small within my own community, and from there it kind of grew. And today it's still growing. There's still a lot of people that listen, and the people I have on the show it's reserved strictly for indigenous folks, so that they can share their stories in a place where it's really friendly and it's welcoming, right? Because a lot of times the folks that are not with any tribal affiliation or anything like that, it's hard for them to understand a lot of what we're talking about. So it's better to just, I figure, sit by the same campfire that we are and just simply listen to how we talk instead of trying to make it something like we're stretching our words and our minds to try and accommodate another person that's not really familiar with everything. So in lieu of doing that, that's why I wanted it, because it's easier for a Native American to share with another indigenous person. It really is. It's easier. So that's why I did it. And I know that there are a lot of stories that will remain untold. Even with my efforts, there are still so many that will never be told. The world will never hear them. And so this is my opportunity to try to help people preserve their stories, as well as share an understanding of the Native, view on spirituality and the paranormal that the rest of the world doesn't have, or they misunderstand us, or they stereotype us. So this is to try, and it's got a number of different kind of areas that I want to hit and try to shore up, so those are a few of them. But in general, this podcast is bigger than me just because of the stories alone, and stories are so powerful, and I try to capture that here.
Yeah. And, that's one thing I like about your show. It does have that feel of you just sitting around, maybe drinking a beer with somebody, it's just like,
Mhm.
it's very, very laid back and just very open. And I love it. I absolutely love listening to your show. People need to go over, subscribe to Lodge Tales. You can where all can they find you?
YouTube has our older ones. Since I signed with Spectre Vision Radio, the conversion that happens to YouTube normally, they're getting that set up. So in time, I'll have all the whole catalog on YouTube. But for now, anywhere you get your podcasts is where I'm at. The top two, um, what is that? The top two highest percentage I get in the analytics of where people are listening from is Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So
Okay.
you can really get it anywhere. It's even on Audible, you know. Patreon is where I have the members only episodes where I reserve that for like the really good juicy stories, right? I try to put that there in an attempt to say thank you to the members of the Patreon. You know, that right there helps the podcast grow. It helps me do a lot of things I wouldn't be able to do without it, you know, as far as
Right.
financing the show and things I need.
Wait, you
So I
mean
really
doing
like
this
that.
isn't free, Rod? You're not, I mean,
No, no, it's not.
a lot of people don't a lot of people think all we do is sit in front of a camera and a microphone and that's it. There's no
Yeah,
cost to it, but there is cost involved with making
there
a
is.
podcast.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, that's why I haven't been seeing anything new on YouTube then.
Yeah. It hasn't converted to it yet, but soon it will, and, a few minor barriers in the way, but those are being worked out right now, so
Okay, good. That's where I normally listen to because I pay for the premium and I don't
mhm.
have to listen to the ads and stuff.
Yeah, if you go
But
to Patreon and you make an account there, you can listen without ads there too, so
that's right,
that's
that's
good
right.
that's good about it. Mhm.
Your
That's my
dog's in the
dog.
room, and I was gonna say,
He's
at
he's
an
always here
EVP or
with me.
something.
Yeah, laying there.
So you had anything weird happen in the last since the last time I talked to you?
Um, I I think the only thing weird really was, I was working up in the mountains in these cabins in my time off when I took a break. I was working up there and this floor got flooded and I had to go up and repair this floor. So, well, they already had everything taken out. They had it dried. I just basically had to reinstall, but it was a little tricky to do because they already had the base down and it's a full wall base. You can't take it off. So you're like left trying to figure out how to get it under the last wall. But anyways, so I'm there for a little while, right? And I'm really focused on what I'm doing, and that's distracting me from anything around me. It just so happens that in the middle of the floor there was this crawl space lid, and I had that off, and I'm working around that. It's just easier to get certain measurements sometimes when that's off, and so that's why I just kind of left it off. And plus, they had fans down there running and everything, and so I'm distracted. I'm trying to figure this thing out, and all of a sudden, I don't know why, but I look over at that crawl space and I see this little face about this big, like it's just small. And I can't really make out any details on it, but there's this ladder that comes down there that they just kind of made a ladder. And this little face is just peeking out by that ladder. And when
What?
I, yeah, and when I look down there, it runs like it runs out of my view. And I couldn't tell the body shape or anything like that, but it was so small that it was right down by the first stair. Like its eye level was about on that first little tiny stair. So that stair was about this far off the ground, and
Oh my
that's where
god.
its little head was. And I mean, it looked at me, and it kind of had this. It had a round face, like a weird round. You know, it was like wasn't totally like a circle. It was kind of like a weird round. But I seen his little face, his little eyes. There were these little black beady eyes. It just kind of like looked at me, and once I noticed, I don't know why I even looked. Like I was totally engrossed in what I was doing, but I just happened to look like right at him, like right in his eyes. He just
Wow.
like froze for a second and ran. And I looked because I know I seen him run. I seen him, but what was really weird about it was I seen his face like how our faces are now. But when he ran, it looked like a shadow.
Really?
Just yeah, it was really weird. But I didn't pay no mind to it because I knew it was a spirit, you know, and it wasn't bothering me, so I didn't, go down there and try to look around or go to the truck and grab my smudge and start smudging him out of there. I just let him be. I figured he was just curious, one of those mountain spirits, something from the mountains, because that's where they were building this new. One of my friends is a builder, a developer, and he was building all these cabins up there, and he had me go and do his flooring for him. But it was a new construction. There was new things. Like the whole land was being kind of developed, but it's in the mountains, kind of up on this hill. You got to drive up a ways to get up to it. It's a really nice area and everything, but yeah, he bought that and he started developing it, putting cabins there, and so I just figured, it's just one of these spirits that are up here. And his wife, she already kind of in their way kind of cleansed the land, like asked those spirits to well basically to take pity on them, that they're just trying to build something for people. They're sorry for encroaching. They were just trying to be respectful to the spirits of the land, and I think that's why they don't have so much bad luck up there, to tell you the truth. Because I mean, I work in the construction industry as a flooring guy, and man, I see so many snafus on every job site. It's like just bad luck after bad luck, and sometimes I think, "What are you guys doing? Like, what? There's something wrong here. Like, what's going on here?" Like, because you don't have that string of bad luck.
Right.
And so these guys, it's just smooth up there. It's just smooth. Everything runs perfect.
Hey, Rod, can you see the chat?
No, I can't.
Okay. I'm gonna put it up on the screen. My vlog Sonny says, John and Lodge Tales, is Bigfoot stuck between dimensions or between portals, or are portals part of the multi-dimensional? So maybe you can give your people's view on what Bigfoot is.
Well, whenever I think about Bigfoot, the first thing I think of is human beings. How are we? That'll answer a lot of your questions when you approach it from that angle, because they are a people, just like we are. And this is my view of them. Like the native view in general is that we look at them as a people. They're not a creature. They're not anything like that. And there are stories that go back really long, really far back, that kind of talk about this thing. And if you kind of sample the population of all these tribes, you'll start to get this picture of them. And that's what I've been doing. I've been doing that. But anyways, when you think about say like a big time holy man that's really powerful, that can shape shift, that can travel to places really fast, well, what's he doing? He's not some interdimensional traveler. He's not. He's got medicine that allows him to do that. And then that opens up the next question. Well, what's medicine? And at a very basic level, medicine is, how do I describe this? It's life force that's flowing through. It's spirit that's flowing through things. Like everything in nature has a life force. And when we get certain medicines that do certain things, like say travel fast or even go invisible, all of these things that Bigfoot seems to do, in our way, how I look at that is they have medicine of some kind. And so this all comes from the creator, in the end. All of it is from him, like everything. Even if it comes from another spirit that's a good spirit, it's all ultimately from the source of life. It's from there. So that's where I think these people are. They see, because they really respect our ceremonies. When they come around, they don't go in there and raise hell. They don't go in there and try to stop the ceremonies. You see them, like people will tell stories of them, like, oh yeah, they were watching us when we were doing the Sundance. Or they even came up to the Sundance door and everybody got quiet and just like looked at it. And all it was doing was standing there watching everybody. And everybody's getting scared, almost starting to panic. And the elders say, keep singing. And so they keep singing, and it just watches them for a minute, then walks away. doesn't do anything to them. Or and then our old stories of them is they used to protect us when we were out fasting, and people still see them when they're coming off of these holy areas. You'll see them there. So I think they're like people. There are certain ones that have medicine that can travel like this. There are certain ones that don't, that are just normal everyday people. And that those are the ones that have to learn their bushcraft a little better than these ones that are all mystical. But their bushcraft, even at that, they're at a think about our technology right now as humans, where we're at today with cell phones, all of this right now, our understanding of quantum mechanics and all of this, where we're at right now. Now imagine an alien type species, all their interdimensional space travel, whatever they can do, right? We kind of stretch the limits of our imagination, and that's what I think they are too, as far as our bushcraft goes. Like us, where we're at with it, we're not even in the same universe as them. They're so much better at. They're so good at it that they can just look at a bird and be like, "Oh, geez, somebody's coming." You know, they're so good at it. Theirs goes beyond anything we could do. They can hide their trails like we've never seen. They can, and then they put these obvious markers out there for who knows what. I've seen them myself, and they don't hide that. They leave it. It's almost like they're deliberately leaving things out there. Even their footprints. I think they're fully aware of those footprints, that they're there and they're leaving them, but they do it anyways. And for what reason, I have no idea.
Yeah.
No idea. You know.
I don't know that we've ever discussed portals. We've discussed a lot because you and I have
Mhm.
had a lot of conversations, but I think that's one thing that we have not discussed. What are your views on portals?
Well, when I think about them, I think about you know, there probably is certain portals, like a certain area or areas where things like that happen, because in one of our like the origin story of the Sundance for my tribe, there's a part in there when Scarface came back from that spirit world where he went to see the creator. He comes back, and when he's brought back, he ends up in these really sacred uh hills of ours. There's these hills that are really sacred. That's where he came back. And they say there's a portal there to the creator's land, to that spirit world, but specifically to his area. Now, I have no idea what that means, because the only way in our stories that you get there is there's another spirit that guides you. So are there portals? Yes, I think so. Now, can we access those? No. No, not by like how we think. There's no key. We can't physically take our body and walk up to it and say, "Oh, I'm gonna pass through this portal." I think it's a spirit thing. I think your spirit can go through it, but your physical body can't. See, and this is where the difference is in that story, is that his physical body went there, and it's the last time that I know of that somebody, in our stories went there, like physically. And those, see, the creator could do anything with that power he has. He could. There's no barrier to what he can do. He can make anything happen. So he did take him over, and well, his helpers did took him over, but he let him stay there, and he talked to him, and he showed him the Sundance, showed him these ceremonies, gave them to him for us, so he could bring back to the people. And but as far as like actually walking through something, I have no idea how that works. Like, I have no idea, other than in my experience when I went through, like, I've traveled, astral travel, or whatever they call that. When I've done it, it wasn't like that per se, because I didn't get to see the portals. I just kind of appeared there in the spirit world, and I didn't get to. And the times I went through them, there was one time when I was in high school where this little person, in a dream, he took me, and that's the only way I can describe it, is we went through a portal, but it looked like this. and it was all trees that grew like that. They weren't made like they weren't somebody didn't plant them and bend them. No, they just grew like that.
Wow.
And when he was walking with me, he grabbed my hand before we went in there. And when we crossed through it, I mean, I just seen light. There was light everywhere, sunlight. And we get through it, and from that point, I can't remember. But he showed me so many things over there. And when we got back, I was laying on my bed, and I was telling him, he was speaking Blackfeet to me like this whole time, and I told him in Indian to let me up. I got to use the bathroom. I tried to say it, but I couldn't say it because I was stuck. I was just laying on my bed and I couldn't get up. And I knew he was to my right. I knew he was there, but I couldn't move. I built up a little willpower to look, and when I tried, that part of my vision just got blurry, and my head was pushed back to the top of the bed because there was a bunk bed above me, and my head just got pushed back up to that. I'm laying there like, what the hell? And so I'm thinking, why isn't he letting me up? Like, what's the deal here? You know, because he wasn't bad, so I didn't know why I was stuck there, why he was doing that. And I wasn't scared or anything either. I was just trying to go use the bathroom, and finally, I build up willpower again, and I look, and oh, I seen his leg. He was sitting on my friend's pillow, and I seen this leg, it'd be his left leg. I seen it sitting there, and he had on some kind of red cloth like that he was wearing. It looked like breech cloth, like where it's just a cloth in front and back, and then it's tied on either side, and it just covers your privates, like you can still see your
Yeah.
hips
Yeah.
though.
My wife loves when I wear that to bed.
Yeah, but that's what I think I saw because I couldn't see the whole view, like the full body view of him. I could just see that leg, and then again it blurred my vision and pushed my head straight up. And by this time I'm like, oh, I really gotta use the bathroom, man. Like I had water leaking out of my ears at that point, and so I'm trying to get up, and I figure, well, I'm gonna build a lot of willpower, and I'm just gonna push through it. That's what I'm thinking. And by the time I was ready, I just jumped right out of bed. Like, where the hell did he go? He let me go, and I'm looking around for him, and I could see that window was open. It was a kind where you grab the latch and you go like that and you open it, and it's just a little vent, but it's a window. They're made so the students couldn't crawl out and, go AWOL or something. But that was open, so I look out, and there was a little tiny gutter in there. Well, it was kind of wide, about a foot wide gutter, and there's gravel in it. And I was looking in there for tracks, but I couldn't find anything. He was gone.
Wow.
So I think I did go through a portal, but as far as like how they appear, what they are, I mean, obviously they're a gateway to something. But another thing was told to me when you're traveling, like you can't just go anywhere you want because there are guardians to these portals. So you got to kind of be careful with that too. Because if you try, doing when you're traveling, I always heard you can't stay too long when you're traveling because you'll you'll die. Like you'll die in your sleep. You can't do that. You're supposed to come back. And even going over to that side, say you end up in the sandhills, which is what other people call heaven or even the afterlife. Say you end up in that afterlife, well, and you're just traveling. If you don't leave there, or if a spirit doesn't push you out of there, because a family member might, you might appear with your family and they might push you out. Hey, go back. What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here yet. Like you need to go back. If that don't happen and you're just kind of wandering, yeah, you can wake up dead. It's a thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a lot of danger around those portals and stuff. And that's why now when people say, and as far as like in context of Bigfoot traveling through portals, well, how I look at that is they just made medicine right there to travel. Either it's to make them go invisible or to actually travel. Now, is that a portal per se? I have no idea. None, other than those miracles, right? Like we could think of it as a miracle. That medicine is kind of like that, and that's all they did is basically perform a minor miracle to get away from you. And that should speak louder to you than anything else. Why are they trying to leave? Why don't they want to be seen?
Right.
And it's not for you to take as an invitation to come follow me. Come see what I'm doing. That's not what that's for. They're trying to avert, that area. They're trying to get away from you.
Right.
And if you keep following them, then they're going to retaliate. You're not supposed to bother them.
Now, I may be getting this confused because I've heard um, a lot of different tribal versions of the story or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, and I can't remember if it was you that told me this, but at least one person has told me that Bigfoot and the Native Americans at one time were very close, and then there was a rift that formed, and the Bigfoot or the Sasquatch, whatever term you're using today,
Mhm.
whoever's listening, there was a rift, and Sasquatch basically said, "You guys have gotten too violent," and it was about the time that the white people came that we've kind of got to go our separate ways. Is there a story like that with the Blackfeet?
No, not a like a traditional type story like that. No, but not that I know of. Let me put it that way. But again, I've heard a lot of these talks too, like that, where one of the guys that I talked to said, and he's a Cree from Canada. He said that at one point they were the original people here. They were the first ones here, and by whatever means the Homo sapien came about, by whatever means. But before that, there was these people. Now, and when I look back on our stories, though, I have a different view. And again, we're all guessing. The only one that I don't think is guessing is that Cree. So if I could drop my bias and go with one theory, it would be his. The reason why is because he's how do I say it? He has really powerful dreams, and Native Americans look at dreams. We don't sit there and focus on the daydreams we all have where just random dump of the day's activities happen. We don't, not like that. These other types where something's happened, and in this dream he had, there was an elder, and this elder was talking to him, and they had a circle set up, and that elder said, "You need to come and sit in the circle with us. We need to talk to you, tell you some things." And when he got close to that circle, there was a giant Bigfoot standing there too. And he sat with them, that Bigfoot and that elder, and he said, "This man's going to tell you a lot of things, and you have to listen. We want you to tell the people. You have to listen to him." And so that Bigfoot starts talking to him, telling him like a lot of things. He says, "When a time comes," he says, "we're going to help you guys. You have to come to the mountains, and we're going to protect you. What's going to happen is we're going to open a mountain for you, and we'll guide you in. Then we're going to close it, and we'll protect you." And he started explaining things to him too, just different things. And one of them that stands out to me was he said, he even told me how they hide. He says, "I know how they hide." He says, "But I'm not going to tell anybody. I don't want people to know that part about him. But he told me what they do." So, anyways, if I'm to go with any sort of theory, it's definitely not Wes Germer. I will not listen to that guy. I don't know. It's this guy here. Wes Germer's all, "Oh, geez, it's a monster. Everybody kill it." No, uh-uh. So that's why I would listen to this guy more than you know. But again, I fall back to my elders' teachings of leave it alone. It's a spirit. And see, that's the thing. When you think about him, like, there's not only a Bigfoot physical person, there's also their spirits. Like we have ghosts. They have ghosts. Imagine their ghost stories. They probably could tell you a few. Living in the mountains, getting spooked. Oh, did you see old Uncle Harry? Yeah, he came back the other night. Yeah, he was also in that movie, but geez, he really went downhill after that movie. They probably have stories too, ghost stories and stuff.
I wonder if by opening a mountain, they were talking about opening a portal to another dimension to protect them.
What do you so in the dream, what he was referring to was there was gonna come a time when people in uniforms were hunting indigenous people. He's talking about right now
Really?
because the southern people are indigenous as well, and they're being hunted in our country. And he talked about this long before Trump was even elected president. And they were telling him things that there's going to come times. He was trying to prepare the indigenous people for what was to come.
Hmm.
And that's the context of this story. So when he says open a mountain, I think how I take it is a literal opening of a mountain, like bringing us in to their world and showing us, how to survive for the short term. Now, what do I believe with all of this? I really don't know what to believe. It's more of a wait and see approach. Like, okay, as soon as they come knock down my door and I've let all my bullets fly, I'm running to the mountains. No, I'm joking, of course. But like if stuff really got like if they said, "All right, you Native Americans, you are all no longer citizens of the United States. I don't care where you go, but it ain't here." I would say something like that got that far. That would be my cue to, okay, we need to get into the mountains before they get to our towns. So like I said, I don't know what to believe. It's a wait and see type thing, and we'll see. But if you want to know more about this guy and listen to his dreams yourself, Gary Smallboy on TikTok, go find him. He's got a whole
He's,
section of dreams.
I've listened to that episode on your podcast.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
go
was really
find him.
good. Yeah, yeah. Let's see who all we got in here. We have JD from Chumming with the Spirits. We have Paul's Paranormal. We have Ash's Antics. And Daytime Paranormal said good night. So let's see. I'm
Hey,
having
real
trouble.
quick, John. I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick. Sorry, I went before we started, but I drank. I
No,
drank
I'm
a
going
whole
to
thing
sit
of
on your
coffee.
chest and make you stay there.
I'll be right back.
So how's everybody doing tonight? Normally the normally during the lives we go for about 45 minutes to an hour. So I gotta find guests with bigger bladders. That's what it is. No, Rod is awesome. He's been on my show. I think a total of this might be the 5th time he's been on my show. We've had a lot of really good conversations about everything, whether it's Bigfoot or little people or just life in general. It's always good to get other people's perspectives. It's easy to get stuck in your own ways and not listen to other people, and that's why I like having people like Rod on my show. It's because it's a different perspective that I'm not going to get every day. And, I think it's very important that we do have these kind of conversations to get other people's perspectives because for one, just like with Sasquatch or anything like that, we all build our own versions of what these beings are, and we kind of get blinded to even looking at other possibilities. So having this kind of conversation with Rod, you get other information that you're probably not even looking for. So Rod, everything come out all right there, buddy?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We got Darren's in here. His comment hasn't come up yet for me to put it on this page, but from Don't Whistle at Night. But
Well, hey, Darren, how are you, man?
as soon as it pops up on my screen here, I'll put it up. Facebook takes a while for the comments to come up, so a lot of times I watch the comments on my phone to make sure they're coming up. So, but yeah, if you guys haven't yet, you need to go over, subscribe, find Lodge Tales on your favorite podcast player or YouTube, wherever. Make sure you're subscribing to them. We have JD from Chumming with the Spirits, another friend of the show's in here. And then Don't Whistle at Night. Darren's comment should pop up here very shortly. Make sure you're subscribing to them. So, okay, let's get back into it. We have talked on previous episodes about Bigfoot, the little people. We've even had an episode about the Goat Man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that one, if you haven't listened to those episodes yet, holy cow. that there's a lot of things, and you know the thing that I've seen, but Goat Man, I do not want to see a Goat Man.
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
that one scares me too, because it's not only in our tribe. I mean, you listen to all these other tribes, it's there. It's in, and it looks the same.
Yeah.
You see this man with a hat and a trench coat, and he's got hooves. That's one of the descriptions of him, and this is the common description that shows up in bars where everybody's drinking, and he's buying the whole bar drinks, and it's so scary. And when I think about it, because I think he's an alcohol spirit, right? That's what I think. And because you'll hear stories about people talking about him, and just listen closely, because if you hear, you'll notice that there's always alcohol involved every time he's around, or gambling even. And now I don't know if this is the same type of creature other people are seeing. I have no idea if it is, like say the Maryland um Goatland or wherever, say from a different part. I have no idea if it's the same, but the thing that we call Goatman is this man that walks around, and he wants you to come with him, and he wants to give you drinks, he wants to keep you drunk. And like that one story always sticks with me that Ethan Running Crane told.
Mm-hmm.
He said, yeah, when they were outside that bar, and he come out of his truck, and they're all passing that bottle around, and one noticed that it's not even draining, and they all were taking really big drinks.
Wow.
And he kept laughing at them the whole time. And that one guy said, "What you laughing about, man? Like, what's your deal?" And I just like it when you guys drink like this. I love it. So I think about that, I really do. And I would not want to, meet that guy in a dark alley either.
Right. Right. Now you had one guest on though that it was a child describing the Goat Man though, right? Where it was looking through like a hole in the wall or something.
Yeah, that was Goat Man terrorizes a family in Alaska.
Dude,
They
that
brought it all the way up from the south. They were Alaskan natives. She married I want to say a Dene person, a Navajo person, or it could have been some other tribe. I don't remember exactly where, but
I
one
just
of the
remember her
southern,
saying Southern tribe. I don't remember which one she
yeah,
said.
and it followed them. It was ultimately after her daughter. It was
Yeah.
after her daughter, and it showed her this book, some sort of a book too. And her daughter, um, she was able to kind of get her daughter away from it. And I don't remember the means and how she did it, but there was something that happened with her daughter that he left her alone. Then he turns his focus onto that boy. And that's when he started teaching that boy things. And what was interesting about this one was the way it would show up. Um, it commonly appeared to that boy as a goat, like a giant goat, like laying on its belly, but its horns scraping the ceiling of the house, that big.
Yeah,
And it
and when
would
the way
talk.
it described it, like it shouldn't have even fit in the room. Like there was no
Yeah.
way it could have gotten in the room,
Yep.
because it was when it was laying on the floor, its horns were hitting the ceiling. That's
Hmm.
freaking terrifying, dude.
It is. And the things it was doing with that boy, like it took that boy, um, and it showed him things. It showed him these different things. And one of them was, as the boy described it, it took him to hell, and it showed him what hell was. And in one of these times, like he said, it was really bad because he was describing it to his mom, and he says it threw me in a cage. These things that look like gorillas threw me in a cage, and I was guided there by this goat man. And when I was there, he said every so often those things would come out and they would drag me out of there. They'd throw me on a table and they'd eat me alive. And he said I could feel it all, and then they'd throw me back in there, and I'd be whole again. After some time, they'd drag me back out and eat me again. It was really
Wow.
horrible, the things that it was showing him in these dreams that he was having while it was, kind of attached to their family. And even at one point too, he started a fire in the house. The boy
Mhm.
did, and the mother was like, "What are you doing? You shouldn't be playing with this." And I want to say the boy was like 10 years old,
Did he do
and
it in
she's
the
like,
closet or something?
yeah, it was in the
Yeah.
closet. He started like, I don't know what it was, like a piece of clothing or a
Mhm.
box or something on fire. He said, "What are you doing? Where's that lighter? How are you lighting this?" And he's like, "Well, he showed me." Like, what? Yeah, he showed me how to do it. There is no lighter in here. He showed me how to make fire. Like, what are you talking about? And he started describing it, and it basically was just using your hands and going poof, basically, and there's fire, right? That's like, I don't remember the exact description, like what he did, but that's how he was manifesting fire from
Right.
nothing. And that's what that goat man was showing him. And that when it got toward the end, um, before they were able to get it to stop terrorizing them, and I don't remember how they did that. I really don't. I'd have to go back and listen to or revisit with her. I know this woman from up there. I could call her and revisit it. But anyways, I remember that boy saying, "So what all forms can you take?" Um, because he had seen that big goat, he had seen that half man, half goat, and he says, "Do you have a human form?" And he said, "Yeah." "Well, can you show me?" He says, "No." "Well, why not?" He said, "Because you'd recognize me. I'm on TV."
Yeah.
Ooh, man.
Yeah.
So anyways,
That's
that's a freaky one.
freaky, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody need to go check that one out. Goat Man terrorizes family
Yep.
over on Lodge Tales, man. That was terrifying because
She did the best to recount with the dates that she remembered. I remember there was a comment in the episode, somebody said, "Oh, well, the dates ain't matching up." And I'm like, "Well, take it for what it's worth, whatever the story is to you. I'm not telling you to believe this, that, or the other. It's worth a lesson, and you make of it what you will."
well, and a lot of people, they want to nitpick because it's easy to sit back and say, "Well, wait a minute, you said earlier that it was a Saturday, and then next time you
Yeah.
told it was a Sunday." You don't write this stuff down, you
Hmm.
know? When
Yeah.
you're living through stuff like this, you're just like with her, she's just trying to survive.
Hmm.
She's not writing down what time and date stuff happened. She's doing the best she can to remember. And your brain plays tricks on you sometimes with your memories. You don't always remember exactly what time and day and,
Yep.
even what year. Sometimes you can be off by a year or two because it's just the games that your mind plays with you. So yeah.
Hmm.
But man, that one was freaky. That one was freaky. Um, what else we want to talk about, Ron? We've talked about water spirits on the show. We've talked about
Hmm.
fire spirits, didn't we?
Yeah. Those
Yeah,
rock
with the
spirits
rocks.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was something we wanted to talk about. Well, we wanted to do an entire show on, was it 7 Mile or
Yeah. 7 Mile Lane. Yeah.
yeah. And then there was another something lake. Is there a lake?
Yeah, Four Horn Lake. That's got a
Horn
whole
Lake.
set of
Yeah.
stories to itself too. Yeah,
Yeah. We need to schedule that. We need to just sit down and we'll do a whole episode on one or two of those.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are cool stories that I like. I like the visuals of some of these stories. Like one that sticks with me. Man, it was so cool. Like just hearing the story when my father-in-law told me. He said my dad was riding out to Four Horn Lake one time, and it was raining. And his dad told him, "Hey, don't go out there. Don't go out there when it's raining like this. You know, it's dangerous. The thunder can, the lightning can get you and all of this." I'll be all right. He rode out, and he did get caught in that storm, and he ended up hiding in this little overhang. Like he was standing there off of his horse, just standing, and he was looking, and there was a knoll kind of off in the distance, and he noticed a native guy, all dressed in white buckskin, even a war bonnet on, and he had a drum, and he was singing up at the sky like that. But every time he was hitting that drum, he said, "Man," he says, lightning would strike when he's hitting that drum, and
Wow.
he just had to wait it out with this horse because he didn't want to get taken by that lightning. And so that old man, I think, was one of those thunder beings, and his dad warned him not to go out there for it's just dangerous, something you don't do, and he did it anyways. And because of that, I think he witnessed that thunder being. And what if he wasn't able to hide? Jeez, would that
Right.
being have taken him? I wonder things, but still thinking about this old native just singing into the sky, and then every time he hits his drum, just boom, boom.
Wow.
That's really cool when I think about that. Another one that stands out to me is his son, my brother-in-law, was telling me this, but he heard it from it's in their family, a set of stories in their family, and they were all sitting in this lodge, these old Blackfeet from way back before the reservation, and there were stories about medicine, about how we used to have this really powerful medicine. And one of them, when they were sitting in that teepee, that lodge, this guy said, "Yeah, I got some medicine I use with the moonlight." And they were asking him, "Well, show us." And so there was moonlight coming through the top of the teepee. It was kind of shining like this, those moon rays. You could see him. He grabs those moon rays, he pulls himself up, and he sits on top.
What?
They're all watching him. Yeah, they're all watching him do this. I mean, see that there are like certain visuals I get from these stories that are just like really cool.
Yeah.
You know, things you don't hear. And I mean, I could go on and on with these stories. Another one that really kind of stands out to me was a guy named Brings Down the Sun. Not Dos, and he uh he was an Okan man, a Sundance man. And at his Okan one year, this is a long time ago as well, everybody was dancing, and he turned around and he faced the sun, and he asked the sun, he says, "Take pity on us and come and dance with us. Show us that you're here." And in the sky, the sun just starts going like that, starts dancing with them.
What?
Everybody's seeing the sun bob like that. And it's not
Holy
some
cow.
mass hallucination or anything. Everybody saw that. We got the story about that today. So I
Wow.
mean, things like that, they really amaze me. And another story that's one of my favorites. Have I ever told you about Lowhorn? Okay, skinny. Have I ever told you about that?
I'm not sure,
So it
man.
was
We have talked about so much, dude.
so it was this warrior. Um, I'll start telling it and see if you remember. He was a boy. When he was a boy, he didn't really talk to these other kids too much, right? I mean, he always like wasn't playing with them. He was kind of alone, and he would see like a bird or something, and he was always saying, "Well, make me a warrior." Then he'd just go back to playing. But every time he seen an animal, he'd just say a quick prayer to it, and it was always make me a warrior, make me a warrior. And so he eventually, when he's about 14 years old, roughly, they were getting ready to go out on a war party, and he asked his dad if he could go. And his dad told him, "No, I don't think you're ready yet." And he says, "Well, I'm gonna go anyways. I don't care what you say. I'm going." And he knew he couldn't stop his boy by some way. He was gonna sneak or something. Then he'd be ill prepared. And he said, "Well, I don't want him to do." He said, "Come to my lodge, and I'll lay out all of my equipment, and you can choose from it. But you have to come, and you have to take my Thunderbird bonnet," which is an interesting part of the story. "And you have to take my horse. These two things you have to take." He says, "But other than that, just choose a weapon of any kind, like whatever you need." And so he goes, and not all the time did the kids stay in the same lodge with their parents. So that's why he's saying, "Come to my lodge." And so he goes and he looks through his dad's things, and all he takes is a simple campfire hatchet, just a little hatchet. That's all he takes, for splitting kindling. And his dad's like, "What? That's all? No, hey, look, there's this." He had all his stuff that he took on the warpath when he was in his days, and his boy just wanted this little simple hatchet. Like, all right, then. And so they're out getting ready to do this war party. They caught seven of these other. I don't remember what tribe in the story that they're from. It's either like Cheyenne, Crow, the usual suspects. and and they're out gonna make war on this little hunting party that they see, because they're in their territory and they're trying to, you know, take their food, basically. So they're gonna do away with them, chase them out, teach them a lesson. And so they're all getting ready in their last position before they make their assault. So they're not within view. They're putting on their war paint, and they're getting all their stuff put on, their war outfits and everything. And they look over and they see old Screech Owl. That was his name when he was a kid. He strips bare ass. And all he has on is that Thunderbird bonnet, that horse, and that hatchet. And they're looking at him and they're saying, "Go stop him! Look at him! Oh, he's gonna embarrass us. We're Blackfeet. Look at this guy. How is he doing out here?" Then he takes off. Before they could even get over there and stop him, he takes off. And so they all jump on and they're chasing behind him. And he's lighting out after these 7 warriors down there, and he's just running. And finally, he gets up to him and he knocks one off with that hatchet. It's just perfect for what he was going to do. And it was just, knocks him off. He goes flying off, and all those other Blackfeet start yelling. Yeah. And that just sends him into a frenzy, and they finish him off, and they still see him riding. He gets every one of them. The last one. This was in the time where there was black powder rifles. This was this time, and that guy had one last shot, the last guy, and he saw what he was doing, his strategy, and how he was taking out his partners. And so he waited until he got right up to him, and then he was gonna shoot, but he ducked low over the horn of that horse, and he'd come back up, and he got him too.
Wow.
And that was his first war party. Well, he went on to be war chief for quite a while, and when he was an old warrior at 26, he was an old man by then.
Ready for retirement.
Yeah, somewhere in there. He in his 20s, somewhere later 20s, he went on his last war party. And what happened was all of these young guys kept, chomping at the bit. "Come on, let's go on this war party here." He's like, "Okay, all right." But he was kind of reluctant because he says, "You guys, I've been having these bad dreams. I keep seeing us laying dead and there's blood. We're laying in the grass with this blood spilt everywhere. We're all laid out." He says, "That ain't good. So we shouldn't be going to do something like this right now. I think we need to wait." They kept bothering him, and finally he's like, "Okay, all right, I'm telling you guys we shouldn't go, but let's do it then." So they head out, and that first night, again he dreamt like that. And he woke up that morning and is telling them, "Look, these dreams come every night. Like this isn't right what we're doing. We shouldn't be doing this." And that next day they're riding, we'll be all right. And they keep riding. They look up and they see a painted sun. Like, see, I'm telling you guys, we need to go back. A painted sun is a sundog.
Uh-huh.
Those were a bad sign back in the day. If you seen that, it was when you're on the trail like that, you're to it's a warning. So he's showing them all of these things, like, look, we shouldn't be going. But back to that painted sun, even in the infantry, I'll go off on a little tangent here. That when you look at that, what that means is it's going to be a wet, cold night.
Yeah.
And when we see that in the infantry, we're like, oh my God, I don't want to be out here tonight. It's going to be horrible. So it really is. It really does damper everything. So I kind of understand that from the story. But anyways, so they keep going, and he keeps having these dreams. They keep pushing him. And he keeps giving in until finally they have to cross this river to get to where they're going. And when they get to the other side, all of their powder is wet. Like they have no choice to go back. And he said, well, now what are we going to do? He says, look, we have to go back because our powder is wet. We can't do anything, not now. And so they all, young boys, agree, okay, well, let's head back then, And so they all go back. And when they get back to the encampment, there was this hill that they described where they were sitting on with some pine trees up in there. And so they're sitting in the shade. And they didn't bring horses because they were going to go raid them. So they were all walking. And when they're sitting up there, they get there, Lowhorn says, well, wait, I'm going to stay here because I don't like going into camp during the day empty-handed. I don't like that. I'm just going to sit up here. I'll come in the nighttime. There was two that said, oh, all right. And there was a group of 7 of them. And those 2 went down. So that only leaves 5 up there by that tree. And these 2 went down, and like, well, we'll send horses up for you. Okay, all right. And so they go down, and they see this woman getting water right by that river near that encampment. And then Blackfeet, they say, hey, send some horses up to Lowhorn and the rest of them. There's 5 of them, something like that. She just looks at him frightened and starts running and screaming in Cheyenne, Blackfeet, Blackfeet, and they're just running. The Blackfeet encampment moved. And right after that, some Cheyenne came in and parked because it was an easy place to camp.
Oh.
And so in that time they were gone, this went on and they didn't know it. And so once those 2 guys heard that they were in the enemy's camp, they ran and they hid under a bank. Some of these banks, they go over the river.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a hollow under there. That's where you can reach under with your bare hand and grab fish sometimes. So anyways, that's where they were hiding. Yeah, they were hiding there, and that's how we know what happened that day. But so a rider comes up, and then there's multiples behind him, but they see that first rider, and Lowhorn got up. He says, oh, geez, I guess they're bringing horses already. We'll just ride in, and they start walking to meet him. And geez, here it was a Cheyenne warrior, so they start fighting. And by then, all the warriors come, 130 something. There was a lot of them. And there was this 5 Blackfeet, and Lowhorn told his boys, he says, you see that brush in the middle of their encampment? Well, if we can get there, they'll be surrounding us and they won't be able to shoot because they'll hurt each other. So let's fight to that shrubbery down there, and that's where we'll make our stand. And so they fight all the way into it, and they get there, and by then, like, everybody's already perished. They already got taken out, and it was just him left inside of that. And all the shrubs were just mowed down. It was just flat. Like they shot so much in there, and he's laying and like dug in a little tiny like makeshift trench. He kind of dug in a little bit, trying to defend himself. And that chief, he comes out, and the Blackfeet have taken quite a few of them at this point too. Just those 5. There's big losses on each side. Well, this chief comes out and he says, Lowhorn, he says, we know who you are. We know you. He says, and because of that, and we know who you are, um, basically how tough you are. He says, we'll let you go. He says, there's a little ravine that leads out of where you're hiding. If you crawl out on your belly tonight where we can't see you, we'll let you go. But if you're still there tomorrow, he says, I'm personally going to come in there and kill you. And Lowhorn start laughing. He says, shit, some Blackfeet. I'll give you until tomorrow to crawl out on your belly. This is Blackfeet land. I ain't going nowhere. You get out of here. And he says, all right, well, if you're still there, I'm coming for you tomorrow. And so that morning comes, and they think Lowhorn doesn't have any more shots left in his black powder. He's got one left. And as soon as that chief peeks over to get him, he takes him out and gets him in the head. By then they swarm him, and they kill him there, but they also mutilate him. They're trying to cut him up into so many tiny pieces that he can't come back. That was the big fear in them days. Like, you have to totally do away, like smear their whole physical existence off, or there's a chance they can come. Because medicine was powerful. That's the reason why they were afraid of medicine.
Yeah.
Because with medicine, you just need, like, geez, just a fingernail of somebody and you could bring them back. That was the power of this medicine, right? So that's why they were afraid. That's why they were trying to do away with them completely. Well, they failed. And once they took him out like that, they thought, we need to move now. Because once word gets out and all the Blackfeet come, we're done. They're going to wipe us out. So they move camp as fast as they can, and on their way out, there's like 8 of their warriors get mauled by a grizzly bear, which was unheard of. It's unheard of for a grizzly to, and they're all leaving like, this ain't a good sign. Did we really get rid of him? I think he might already came back when, like, we're getting punished for this. We need to let go. It wasn't going good for them, and they knew it. They were afraid. So they left. Well, sometime later, like about 15, 20 years later, there was a band of Blackfeet, and they were going by that area. They were moving their encampment, and they were traveling by, and the chief kept hearing his kid crying, like really crying, inconsolably crying. And so he turns his horse back and he goes back, what's wrong with him? And that mother says, I don't know, he just started crying when we come to this area. And he looks down at that boy and says, what's wrong? And he pointed. And he said, that's where they killed me. They killed me right there.
What?
He says, what are you talking about? He says, that's where they killed me. He says, I hid my knife under a rock, and it's right here in this spot. He sent a rider over, looked under that rock. Fuck, they brought back Lowhorn's knife. That was Lowhorn. And that name Lowhorn, okay, Skinny, that's still that people have it in Canada. That's their last name. They descended from him. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? It's one of my favorite stories. Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, Rod,
It's like
I usually only go about an hour on my lives, and
a little over.
we're a little over, but that's fine. You know how I am.
Mm-hmm.
But why don't you tell everybody one more time where they can find Lodge Tales?
You'll find a Lodge Tales podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Patreon, and anywhere you get a podcast, really. So if you want the members only, it's on Patreon.
Yeah. I'm a subscriber. Everybody needs to go over and check out Lodge Tales. And Rod, my friend, I've missed talking to you, and we definitely need to sit down and have a one-on-one in the very near future.
We need to explore Hole in the Wall.
Yeah. Maybe if I can convince my wife to take a trip out to Montana next summer, we can do that.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Rod. Thanks again for coming on Myths, Monsters, and Mullets. And if you've had a paranormal encounter you'd like to share, you can email me at mythsandmullets@gmail.com. Talk to you later.